Who says zombies must have no emotions? Who says ghosts and monsters must be bad? Who said that fox spirits can only seduce scholars? No, Lin Tiansheng waved his hand. There is no discrimination between my yin and yang, only right and wrong, and cause and effect. Lin Tiansheng shouted in his heart. I am a child, a little female ghost, ridiculous and ridiculous. Uncle Jiu, save me. This fox demon is really delicious. Uncle Simu, why don't you give it a sword? Chapter 1. At the beginning, Uncle Nine comes to guard the goal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How can you be sure that all you see are people? From childhood to Dahlin, I never go out at night, even on cloudy and rainy days. In the eyes of friends and colleagues, he is a quiet and timid person. Actually not, he just quietly looks at this world, whether it's people or non-humans. There is a big secret hidden in his heart. He has a pair of yin-yang eyes that can see things that ordinary people cannot see. However, human eyes can be deceived, just like the square staircase in the movie Inception. Whether going up or down stairs, people will be trapped in this square staircase, infinite loop, never ending. Lin Tiansheng is very troubled. Sometimes he feels like he is really crazy, why others can't see, only he can see. Madman on the left, genius on the right, who are you? It has been over 20 years and he still hasn't figured it out. In the scorching summer, Quanqing Pedestrian Street, although it's already past 9 p.m., the pedestrian street is still bustling with crowds, young girls holding hands and whispering about what to eat, one walking in front constantly searching for food, and the other following couples carrying a lot of food, urban beauties with slightly mature faces and cool and sexy outfits. Lin Tiansheng greedily watched all of this, marveling at the beauty of summer evenings, with cool breeze, cool clothes, and delicious food. In this beautiful scenery, an eye-catching figure suddenly appeared, and an old Taoist walked towards him. When he saw him, his eyes lit up. Lin Tiansheng felt a chill, and the goosebumps were coming out. His eyes were the same as the eyes he had seen the little sister in the silk stocking secretary. Young man, I see your bones are amazing. You have a connection with my Taoist school. Lin Tiansheng looked at him expressionlessly, because of Uncle Jiu's movie in his own situation. Recently, he had explored some Taoist things, perhaps it's because he doesn't have access to his door, or because he doesn't have access to his people, he hasn't found a real way to solve himself or protect himself. It cannot be said that there is no effect, but the results are somewhat. This time, he finally obtained an exorcism talisman from a well-known master. At night, he bravely went to a little ghost on the roadside to experiment and found that as soon as he pulled it out, it scared it away. That excitement at the time, finally found the true God, finally saved. Immediately, I rushed into the nearby hospital excitedly. You don't know, I used to dare not get sick, and going to the hospital was like going to a cemetery. As soon as I entered the door, I met a very beautiful nurse. Seeing his hurried appearance, I thought there was something urgent and warmly welcomed him. Lin Tiansheng only felt like he was in the realm of ghosts and demons. The exorcism talisman in his hand became hot and didn't move at all. There was also a big sister with a long tongue next to him who licked his face, and then he knew nothing. It was already daylight when I woke up again. I was lying on the hospital bed, with an angry and red-eyed beautiful nurse standing next to me. The beautiful little sister from last night, she was scared out of her wits. As soon as this person saw her, she creaked and fainted. What's even more frustrating is that the doctor's diagnosis was that he was just scared unconscious. Scared unconscious. Seeing her scared out. She is Lu Hanyu, a grand courtyard flower in the prime of her life. Her pursuers can circle the hospital dozens of times, but this guy saw her fainting from fear. What a shame. Today is when Lin Tiansheng bravely agreed to accompany her to go shopping tonight to express his apologies, which is why he came out. Old man, I've encountered more scammers than you've eaten. Please let me go and find someone else. The old Taoist had graying beard and hair, and his Taoist robe was a bit dirty. He didn't know what was sticking to his cuffs, and they were all shining black. However, it was not easy to deceive people even after looking at an old age. He took out his only 20 yuan in cash and gave it to him, pointing to the intersection in front of the pedestrian street. "Uncle, when you turn the intersection, you'll have everything you need for 15 yuan worth of noodles, and there's still 5 yuan left." The old Taoist took the money in a daze and suddenly burst out laughing, patting Lin Tiansheng's shoulder. "Your child indeed has a connection with my Taoist school." Speaking, he took out a book from his pocket and handed it to Lin Tiansheng, which looked quite good and very antique. "This book is a gift to you, and we will meet again if we have the chance." Lin Tiansheng rolled his eyes and said, "Uncle is still a meticulous person who doesn't ask for money in vain. When selling books, he doesn't say he sells them, he says he gives them as gifts." "That's right, nowadays it's all about fate and money." "Thank you, then. You go eat now." The old Taoist smiled and turned around to leave. He was indeed extraordinary in his ability to be a fraud. The steps taken by the uncle in his turn really looked a bit like a fairy tale. Lin Tiansheng lowered his head and looked at the book in his hand, only to see that under the cover of the book was written in traditional Chinese characters. "The selling price is 2 yuan. Lin Tiansheng, oh, forget it, let's just give love." Turning to the first page, I was stunned by the Shangqing Great Cave scripture. There is a saying that if one obtains the Great Cave Manual, they no longer need the path of the golden elixir. Reading it 10,000 times will make them immortal. Flip through again, unobstructed clear sky, eye wisdom and divine power. What is this for? Continuing to flip, there are 2 main parts. Maoshan Mantra and Maoshan Talisman. It looks quite decent. Oh, there is still a part behind, the Yin-yang joyous art. Lin Tiansheng's mouth twitched as he looked at these big characters. Is this Maoshan secret technique serious? Especially with a brief explanation at the end. Heaven and earth have no limits, and yin and yang complement each other. Cathode generates positive, anode generates negative, one yin and one yang, constantly giving birth, the combination of yin and yang, rank and deity. Finally, there is a handwritten line of text. To achieve this skill, one must protect the body of a child for 18 years. Lin Tiansheng. Whose Maoshan secret technique has such an unprofessional technique at first glance? After 18 years of cultivation, what use is it? Looking again, there are illustrations in the middle of the book page, and I inexplicably think of teacher Tengeir. After flipping through a few more pages, Lin Tiansheng curled his mouth, a posture far inferior to that of the teachers in Zhuo Xiangguo. Lu Hanyu glanced at the illustration in Lin Tiansheng's hand and looked at him contemptuously. "This is the Taoist method you are pursuing. Cough, what do you want to eat? I'll buy it for you." Lin Tiansheng quickly put the book into his pocket and changed the topic. Lu Hanyu broke his white tender fingers and said one by one, "Roasted pig hooves, octopus balls, durian crisps, stinky tofu. Wait a minute, come all the way, buy it in advance and cool it again, it will not taste good." Lin Tian roast in his heart, "Can you eat it? Don't take the last sip. The rest is mine." "Then let's start with roasted pig trotters," Lu Hanyu said with ease. Lin Tiansheng turned his head while queuing, and the person was gone. Can't he be playing with me? I vaguely saw Lu Hanyu's figure turning the intersection, as if there was another person next to him. Sleeping in bed, it's unlikely to have been a case of encountering abducted women. There shouldn't have been so many people. Lin Tiansheng quickly chased after her and turned the intersection. Lu Hanyu had already helped an old lady walk to the middle of the road. "Sister, that's a red light. Take a closer look, there's no such thing as an old lady. She's just a collision-dead ghost, looking for a double." Without careful consideration, Lin Tiansheng rushed over and pulled apart Lu Hanyu. A car speeding past. In the moment he flew up, he seemed to see Lu Hanyu's heartbroken expression and the gloomy smile of the ghost colliding with death. Chapter 2. Birth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know how long it took, but Lin Tiansheng's consciousness slowly began to recover and he felt particularly tired. After a long time, he opened his eyes and looked up at the chin of a woman with a tense expression. Next to him stood a man with a square face, all looking anxiously at the outside. The sound outside was noisy, with ghosts crying and wolves howling. Lin Tiansheng tried his best to turn his head and look around. There were 3 figures outside the door. A Taoist standing there holding a peachwood sword, on the left is a 4-tailed fox, with snow-white and smooth fur, very beautiful, on the right is a plump woman with an indistinct face, but looking from behind, her figure is very good. She is dressed in gauze, as if she has been wet by something, tightly pressed against her body. Lin Tiansheng sighed in his heart, is this the legendary peach buttocks? It's round, big, and curly. Unfortunately, her feet didn't touch the ground and drifted 2 feet off the ground. The peachwood sword in the Taoist's hand was like a wandering dragon, and every time it emitted a flash, a demon screamed in agony, turning into smoke. The little fox and the female ghost also waved their claws and fanned out the ghost faces that approached one by one. But there were too many ghosts and monsters around them, and gradually they became overwhelmed. The Taoist turned around and drew a circle with his peachwood sword in his hand, taking a breath. Suddenly, he took out a yellow talisman from his body and scattered it into the sky. Drinking in his mouth, he said, "Heaven and earth have no limits, heaven and earth borrow magic, divine talismans drive away evil, and ghosts avoid change." Then, with lightning-fast hands, he patted the falling yellow talisman. In an instant, the talisman was like a sharp arrow, carrying a golden light and shooting towards the fierce ghosts around him. The figure of the Taoist seemed to be entangled by golden dragons, and these golden lights shone like sunlight into Lin Tiansheng's heart. How handsome! In the shimmering golden light, the Taoist's profile appeared, Uncle 9. Lin Tiansheng exclaimed in shock, "Wow, Lin Tiansheng. Whose child is crying? Is it me? What is this large-scale fantasy urban costume fairy tale drama?" Lin Tiansheng was very helpless to find himself caught up in the trend of crossing the army, and on the first day of his birth, he was caught in such a big scene of ghosts attacking. The mixture of shock, and surprise seemed to make him even more exhausted, and he quickly fell asleep. An hour ago the Lin family's old mansion, a heart-wrenching scream was coming from a room, and the 9 brothers of the Lin family were anxiously waiting outside the room. The oldest one forced himself to remain calm and asked, "How long has it been inside?" It was Lin Tiansheng's father, Lin Boxian, the eldest of the Lin family, who was speaking. A young man walking back and forth stopped, frowning tightly. "Sister-in-law went in this morning. It's almost dark now, it's been 4 or 5 hours. Today is the day when the eldest grandson of the Lin family was born." As the older generation of the Lin family passed away early, it can be said that these younger brothers below were all raised by the Lin family's eldest couple. The elder brother is like a father, and the elder sister-in-law is like a mother. In this era, it's not just for fun. After such a long time before a child is born, everyone looks anxious. Giving birth is a life and death barrier. Lin Boxian furrowed his brows, clasped his hands together, and rubbed them twice. "Why hasn't this stinky kid come out yet? It's too much trouble for your mother. Wait until I'm born and see if I don't break your butt." As the shouting inside grew weaker and weaker, he, who never believed in religion, couldn't help but fold his hands together. "Buddha bless, Taoist bless, Allah bless." The sky was getting darker and darker, and as the last ray of afterglow fell down the mountain, a sudden gust of wind began to rise. Waves of cold wind blew in, creating a piercing coldness. Lin Fengjiao, the 9th son of the Lin family, whose name is too flashy, is often replaced by the 9th uncle later on, and is accustomed to saying it casually, frowned and looked around, realizing something was wrong. She took out 2 willow leaves. "Heaven and earth are clear, ghosts and gods are clear, and urgency is like a law. Close your eyes, brush the willow leaves over your eyelids with both hands, and open your eyes again to look around. Your face changes greatly, and you can see waves of Yin energy and ghost energy gathering around you. From time to time, pale ghost faces appear in the mist. Big brother, things are not quite right around, said Lin Boxian, taking a few steps to approach him. Lin Buxian's expression was taken aback, knowing that his younger brother had some skills after learning Taoism. Xiao Jiu, what's up? Uncle Jiu nodded and said, the surrounding Yin Qi is pervasive, and ghosts and monsters are gathering. It's not quite right. Seeing Uncle Jiu's seriousness, Lin Boxian and the others looked around and couldn't see anything, only feeling increasingly cold. Lin Boxian looked solemnly at Uncle Jiu and said, Xiao Jiu, Big brother doesn't understand these things either. To be honest with me, can you handle them? Uncle Jiu looked around and his Yin energy became even stronger. It seemed that there were still big guys who hadn't come out, but there were also quite a few of these little ghosts, hesitating for a moment, nodding earnestly. These little ghosts are fine, I'm afraid there might be a big guy behind them. Brother Mo Roa, looking at his younger brother's expression, Lin Boxian knew that today's situation must be a bit tricky. Looking at everyone, Xiaojiu, take a look at what you need to prepare and have them prepare it as soon as possible. After you guys help Xiaojiu prepare, all go back to your own yard to hide. When everyone heard it, they were all unhappy and their voices were noisy. No, big brother, how can we leave you and sister.in.law behind? Yes, then we won't be able to be human anymore. That's right, Xiaojiu can stay here, and we can too. Shut up, everyone, shut up. The scene immediately quieted down. Lin Boxian looked at his younger brothers. Although his heart was warm, his face was stern. Xiaojiu knows Maoshan Taoism, so do you. Their goal is children. If things cannot be done, I will let Xiaojiu go first. What will you and your sister.in.law do? Anyway, I won't leave. Xiaoqi Lin Shui and Xiaobao Lin Shota sat directly on the ground. Lin Boxian had a twitch in the corner of his eye, and when he went over, he kicked him with one foot. Get up, get out. Watching all the younger brothers remain silent and motionless, Lin Boxian sighed, don't delay the time, hurry up and help Xiaojiu prepare. You can't do much to help with such things if you stay. Besides, things may not be that bad. Xiaojiu is still very capable, right? Seeing the older brother's expression, Uncle Jiu quickly took over the conversation and said, yes, brothers, don't worry, I will protect the older brother and sister.in.law. Hurry up and go. Lin sighed and looked at the unborn child in the room. What is the origin of this little thing like you? How did it cause such a big commotion? It seems that a slap is not enough. The Lin family saw that the elder brother was resolute, so they had no choice but to look at Uncle Jiu. What do Xiaojiu need? Hurry up and tell us, let's go prepare quickly. 7 brothers and 8 brothers, go to my room and bring the peach wood sword, yellow paper, and cinnabar from my room. The other brothers go prepare some chicken blood, and then prepare some peach wood branches, cut them into cone-shaped shapes. I'm here to watch my elder brother and sister.in.law. By the way, prepare another table. Everyone quickly prepared when they heard Uncle Jiu's words. In no time, everyone brought over everything he needed. Uncle Jiu mixed chicken blood and cinnabar together and muttered, people come to separate heavy paper, ghosts come to separate mountains, 1,000 evil cannot be eliminated, 10,000 evil cannot be eliminated, urgency is like a law. The yellow talisman held in the middle of the finger emitted a spark with a popping sound. It was thrown into the bowl, stirred, and then the mixture was applied to the tip of the peach tree branch, like blood-red nails. Then he walked away with his pen and wrote mysterious talismans on yellow paper. Hand it over to the brothers and have them plant peach wood branches on the ground in the courtyard in front of the room, with exorcism symbols pasted on the top. From a distance, it looks like a large triangle. Then many exorcism talismans were pasted on the doors and windows of the room, and yellow talismans swayed in the wind, making a clattering sound. The atmosphere of the entire courtyard suddenly became eerie. Chapter 3. Night Journey of 100 Ghosts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uncle Gio wrote some exorcism talismans and handed them to several brothers, and taught them the anti-ghost spell just now. Although it's unlikely that these lonely ghosts will come to find you, you still need to be careful. You must remember this spell clearly just now, and these exorcism talismans must be put away. Then he turned to look at Lin Tiansheng and said, "Big brother, everything is ready." Lin Tiansheng turned his head and said to his younger brothers, "All right, you all go back. Xiao Jiu can accompany us here." Then he looked at his second son Lin Zhongshuan and hesitated for a moment. "If anything unexpected happens to his second son, you can take charge of the family in the future and take care of them." Lin Zhongshuan nodded with red eyes, then pulled his younger brothers and walked back 3 steps at a time. Wow, wow, wow! Finally, a loud cry came from the room, and they were pleasantly surprised. In no time, the midwife walked out of the room and said to Lin Tiansheng with a smile on her face, "Congratulations to Mr. Lin, congratulations to Mr. Lin. Madam has given birth to a chubby little boy, weighing 7 pounds and 8 taels. Okay, he's a chubby kid." Lin Tiansheng took out a silver ticket and handed it to the midwife. "Thank you very much, Grandma Sunday. You keep this money and help your wife tidy it up later. Hurry up and go home." Seeing the amount on the silver note, the midwife's face lit up and she said, "Thank you very much, Mr. Lin. The old woman will go and get busy." She turned around and went into the house, helping Mrs. Lin tidy up with the maids. After finishing the task, Lin Tiansheng sent the midwife away and also drove the maids to other courtyards. Walking alone towards the room, before entering, I turned around and glanced at Uncle Gio. "If Xiaojio's situation is too critical, don't worry about us. You can leave on your own." Uncle Gio pretended to be relaxed and showed a smiling face, then handed him a dozen yellow talismans. "Don't worry, big brother. I can handle it now. Stick these on the inside of the doors and windows. Your sister .in.law, and your child can stick the last one on their bodies to isolate some breath, and I have already sent a distress signal using Maoshan's secret technique, and there happen to be a few colleagues nearby. As long as they stay up until the second half of the night, they can come over." Continuing to look around, there was a hint of coldness in my eyes. "If you have the ability, don't leave for a while. If it bothers me, I will directly invite my ancestor." Lin Tiansheng breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. Your sister .in.law and I raised you up not to see you walking ahead of us. Don't make us feel uneasy, otherwise how will we explain to our parents when we go down?" In the room, Lin's sister .in.law Jiang Yingru looked gently at the small child next to her. After seeing Lin Tiansheng come in, she felt a little weak and happy and said to him, "Master, come and take a look. Our child, you see. How cute he is." Lin Tiansheng looked at his wife with heartache and said, "Madam, you've worked hard." Then I saw the little one with wrinkled faces on the side, happy but also heavy. "What kind of trouble did you bring, this little one?" Looking at her master's expression, Jiang Yingru asked with some nervousness, "Master, what's wrong? Is something wrong?" Lin Tiansheng shook his head slowly and said, "It's nothing." After thinking for a moment, he thought it was better to tell his wife the truth, otherwise it would easily scare her in a moment. He whispered, "Our child may have an extraordinary background. Xiao Jiu said there was some dirt coming from outside." "Ah. Dirty thing." Jiang Yingru's face was somewhat worried. Lin Tiansheng nodded and comforted, "Madam, don't worry, Xiao Jiu has a lot of skills. He should have no problem guarding outside the door." Jiang Yingru nodded and said, I believe in our little nine." Uncle Gio stood outside the door, holding a peachwood sword and looking around. The Yin energy around him became increasingly strong. As the child was born, the lonely and wild ghosts around began to stir up, with ghost faces and claws constantly appearing in the Yin chi, slowly surrounding them. Uncle Joe's face remained calm. He temporarily put down his peachwood sword and held 10 in both hands. There are 3 strange stars in the sky, the sun, moon, and stars, which penetrate through the sky and startle the ghosts and gods. If there are fierce gods, evil spirits, and ghosts approaching, they will be trapped on the ground and cannot stop walking. The sky is clear, and the earth is spiritual. The disciples are honored with the title of Sanmao ancestor, who will not escape and who will not be startled, urgently following the order of our ancestor Mao Shan, sweeping away ghosts and evil spirits, and urgently following the order of the Supreme Old Lord to drive away demons and slay demons without mercy. I follow the urgent and lawful order of our ancestor San Mao. In an instant, the golden light flickered, some lonely and wild ghosts running ahead, upon encountering them, immediately let out a scream and turned into a wisp of smoke. The lonely spirits and wild ghosts around immediately stopped in their tracks, but then rushed forward again. The edge of the entire Sankai formation was shining with golden light, igniting bursts of sparks and making a sizzling sound. There are too many lonely souls and wild ghosts around, constantly consuming the power of the 3 talents formation. In no time, some of the yellow talismans on the peach would ignited spontaneously with a hissing sound. Uncle Joe was already prepared and immediately went over to recite and add some more spells, but this is not a solution. He frowned and looked around, toasting and refusing to take food or punishment. He was about to go out and kill a group before lifting his sword. Suddenly, the lonely spirits and wild ghosts around us attacked and a path flashed away like a tide from the outside to the inside. Seeing this scene, Uncle Joe's heart did not relax, but his expression became even more solemn. At the end of the road, there was a faint shadow, and a lantern with a red candle suddenly appeared in the thick fog in the distance. No one was holding it, so it floated in the air and slowly floated over. Human skin lantern. Uncle Joe squinted his eyes. This thing is amazing. The materials used to make it are usually young women who have suffered harm, because the skin of young girls is finer and more transparent, and the lantern skeleton is also taken from the girl's ribs. After the production is completed, the girl's soul will be trapped inside the lantern, baked and tortured by candlelight every day. It can be said that it is extremely cruel and vicious, and over time, it will naturally become extremely resentful and difficult to deal with. In no time, the human skin lantern drifted to the edge of the 3 talents formation. Amidst the flames of the candles inside the lantern, there was a ghostly face with a strange smile, and cold sounds echoed in the air, thoracic incision, reaching the waist, lifting both sides, lightly flicking the knife, a layer of skin, thin as wings, wrapped around the skeleton, with a joyful heart. You come too, I'll go too. Let's go skinning together, hee 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 hee. Without stopping, I immediately encountered the 3 talents formation. With a hissing sound, the 3 talent formation emitted a stronger light, and more than 10 exorcism talismans on the peach tree branches around it suddenly burned. Uncle Joe's eyes narrowed slightly, and this ghost was indeed fierce. As soon as he picked up the peachwood sword, he rushed over and took 7 star steps, constantly reciting words in his mouth. Tianyuan Tai, the main soldier of Jingxi, protecting the world and preserving the essence. If there is evil, it will be slain. If there is strange, it will be cleared. If there is urgency, it is like a law. The peachwood sword flashed with a golden light and landed on the human skin lantern. With a thud, it made a dull and loud sound like a drum. The lonely spirits and wild ghosts around the earthquake screamed and scattered around, and the human skin lantern was also bounced out, emitting a mournful scream. Drifting in the distance, it seems that Jiu Shu is somewhat wary and dare not come forward again. Before Uncle Jiu could breathe a sigh of relief, another burst of strong light flashed from the 3 talent formation. Poo poo, the exorcism talisman near the room on the left burned 2 or 3 in a row. The range of the 3 talents formation is not that simple. Uncle Jiu sneered and quickly produced a seal in his hand. Swordsmanship is ethereal, unsheath it to slay demons, urgent as a law. A golden light shot past, exploding into sparks, and a figure appeared, showing a hunched cat-faced old lady. He was stabbed on his buttocks by a sword light and jumped into mid-air with a whooshing sound. then retreated backwards, hiding among the lonely and wild ghosts, with a mouth full of foul-smelling liquid. He looked at Uncle Gio with a resentful expression on his face. Uncle Gio quickly ran over, put away his peachwood sword, and added the burning exorcism talisman on the peachwood branch. My heart has become a bit heavy, there are so many ghosts tonight. Chapter 4. Ghost Curse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Tiansheng and his wife in the room felt a little uneasy when they heard the commotion outside. Jiang Yingru said anxiously to Lin Tiansheng, "Master, we can't just sit and wait for Xiaojiu to work hard outside. You help me up and I can't see his condition. I'm a bit worried." Lin Tiansheng helped his wife up, handed her newborn son, and helped her to the door. He found another chair and asked his wife to sit there, while he stood aside. The two of them looked at Uncle Gio with some concern, looking at the demons and monsters outside the Sankai formation, and couldn't help but feel a wave of fear in their hearts. Jiang Yingru's voice trembled slightly. "Why is the master like this? Our family has never done anything outrageous." Lin Tiansheng shook his head slowly and said, "I don't know either." At this moment, Uncle Gio also noticed the two people at the door and walked over anxiously. "Sister-in-law, how did you get up?" "Brother, please help sister-in-law back to bed, it's easy to scare her here." Although Jiang Yingru was a bit frightened in her heart, she shook her head firmly and said, "Xiaojiu, you can handle these demons and monsters with peace of mind. Our Lin family women are not easily frightened yet." Seeing the child appear, the monsters outside became even more restless. As they spoke, two waves separated from the group of lonely souls and wild ghosts outside, one left and one right. In the surprised gazes of the three, two teams appeared. On the left is a wedding procession. The big red sedan chair, the red devil with powder blusher, the gong and the drum shout. On the right is a funeral procession, with painted black coffins, pale-faced white-clad little ghosts, and Suona playing in unison. The little ghosts on both sides were dancing, with the same movements, scattering flowers and paper money at the same time. The sound of crying and laughter intertwined, which was strange. The red-clad ghost welcoming the wedding has a drooping mouth and a mournful face, and the cries of sorrow and resentment can be heard from the sedan chair. The little ghost in white clothes who was delivering the funeral had a raised mouth, with a stiff smile on his face. Exciting and neurotic laughter came from the coffin. This eerie scene made Lin Tiansheng and his wife widen their eyes and look at Uncle Gio in surprise, as if asking what it was. And Uncle Gio's usually calm face finally couldn't hold its tension. Red and white twin evils. How could such an evil thing also appear? Red Sha refers to the ghost of a person who died unexpectedly at a wedding, while White Sha refers to the ghost of a person who died unexpectedly when unmarried when young. Great joy and great sorrow are two extreme emotions of human beings. When a person dies in these two situations, there will be a lot of resentment, which will generate the most ferocious ghosts. If these two ghosts are combined in extreme situations, they will become a very evil ghost. Turning to his senses, Uncle Gio met the gaze of his elder brother and sister-in-law and said calmly, "Brother, hurry up and stick the yellow talisman as I just said, and leave the rest to me." In my mind, I was rapidly pondering countermeasures. This thing is a bit sinister, and it's my first time encountering it. Judging from its arrogance, it may be a bit difficult to deal with. It seems that we need to make a big move soon. Jiang Yingru seemed to sense the unease in her younger brother's heart. She scanned the faces around her, suppressed her fear, lightly patted his hand, and smiled, saying, "Xiaojiu, just do your best. It's okay. If you really can't avoid this level, it means that the child doesn't have any good luck. The two of us don't have this good luck. When we reach that point, you must avoid it. There are other people in the family who need your protection." As soon as they spoke, both teams had reached the edge of the three talents formation, and the lonely souls and wild ghosts around them trembled and hid to one side, leaving a large open space. Even the cat-faced old lady and the human skin lantern swayed and dodged to the side, seeming to be very afraid of these two teams. Uncle Gio didn't say anything anymore, picked up his peachwood sword and blocked the door. Jiang Yingru had tears in her eyes, pursed her lips hard, and carefully examined the child in her hand, as if she wanted to firmly remember his appearance in her heart. Gently kissing his forehead, he suddenly lifted his head and whispered to Lin Boxian, "Master, today's situation is a bit dangerous. After all, Xiaojiu's time to learn Taoism is still short. If he really can't stop it in a while, you must go over and take Xiaojiu, hurry up. Otherwise, he won't be able to leave on his own." Lin Wuxian's body shook and he said, "Madam, what about you?" Jiang Yingru pursed her lips and looked at her husband gently, "I just gave birth and have difficulty moving around. Besides, this is a piece of meat that has fallen off my body. How can I be willing to let it go? Let's live and die together, the two of us together." Lin Wuxian's eyes turned red in an instant and he said, "No, madam. Our family wants to be together and round. I'll accompany you with the child, live and die together." Jiang Yingru disagreed, "What about Xiaojiu? He was also someone I watched grow up with. If we don't leave, we'll drag him to death." Although the two of them spoke quietly, Uncle Gio had already been able to hear and see clearly after learning Taoism. He didn't turn back, just shook the peach and wood sword in his hand even harder. "These ghosts scared my sister. In law. Damn it, there aren't many people bullying me, right? Wait, ghost curse." Uncle Gio bit through his right index finger and drew a talisman in the palm of his left hand. His right hand was in the shape of a sword finger, while his left hand held it up, reciting words in his mouth, quiet and mysterious. "Heaven and earth are born together, scattered and formed into chi, gathered and formed. The ancestor of the 5 elements and the essence of the 6 armors, the soldiers follow the Japanese war, the times follow the orders, and the urgency is like a law." With Uncle Gio's voice, the surrounding yin chi seemed to resonate in some way, emitting waves, and the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling also fell silent. After the spell was cast, Uncle Gio spewed out a mouthful of blood with a loud thud, causing Lin Boxian and his wife to be very anxious. "Xiaojiu, are you okay? Oh my, go over and take a look." Lin Boxian quickly went over and helped Uncle Gio up. He gritted his teeth and said, "Don't worry about us. Let's go quickly." Uncle Gio wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth with his palm and forced a smile. "Big brother, I'm fine, I just spat a mouthful of blood." Roast in the heart, the current state is still a little reluctant, and then looked around. "Master once said that this ghost curse can summon a team of ghost generals and ghost soldiers. Why hasn't there been any movement? Is it because my current state is too low? Shouldn't I?" "Yes, my master also said that you must be in the mage realm to use it, otherwise it's easy to have backlash, and it's not necessarily what you're summoning. Did you summon something else?" Just as he was puzzled, suddenly the lonely souls and wild ghosts around him all took a few steps back, and the crying and laughter of the red and white twin demons also paused for a moment. "What's going on?" A gentle voice came from above. "Little Taoist, what are you calling me up for? But I've already agreed that I won't do anything that's not beneficial." Chapter 5. One person, one demon, one ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uncle Gio looked up in surprise, and at some point, a mature and charming female ghost appeared on the roof of the eaves, sitting there with an elegant demeanor. After seeing her, Uncle Gio slightly curled the corner of his mouth and flew down lightly. Glancing at the surroundings, he frowned and said, "Little Taoist, this matter is a bit troublesome for you. You even have red and white dual evils." Uncle Gio's heart tightened, and indeed there was a problem. Judging from his teachings, he summoned a 1,000-year-old ghost king who was not under control. This is really troublesome. Looking at Uncle Gio frowning, the female ghost smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. I will abide by the contract of your Mao Shan's secret technique, at least I will ensure your safety. It seems that the ancestors of Mao Shan are still reliable at critical moments. Thinking of this, Uncle Jiu felt relieved and pointed to Lin Tiansheng, saying to the female ghost, "Senior, this is my newborn nephew today. I don't know what's going on." The ghosts and monsters around him have gathered, as if they want to take action against him. "Please, for the sake of my reputation in Maoshan, lend a helping hand." The female ghost looked in the direction of her fingers, with a hint of surprise in her eyes. No wonder. No wonder the ghosts and monsters around are so crazy, even the red and white twin evils have appeared. This child's spirit is not yet stable, and he has an inexplicable great fortune on his body. This is the best body to seize and give up. Suddenly, there was a feeling in the dark that there seemed to be a causal connection between myself and this kid. It was already a bit strange. How could I be summoned out as a ghost soldier, remembering the words of the virtuous master who transformed himself? Would one's own destiny be in this little guy? After pondering for a moment, he made up his mind and turned to the ninth uncle beside him, saying, "Young Taoist, it's not impossible to help you, but you must agree to a condition that you will offer me a plaque at home in the future." Uncle Jiu was taken aback and offered a memorial tablet. This is just like the entrance of the horse worship hall in northeast China. If this is really done, this female ghost can stay here for a long time. It's easy to ask God, but difficult to send God away. Thinking about this, I feel a bit hesitant in my heart. At this moment, Jiang Yingru suddenly asked, "Xiaojiu, what does it mean to offer a memorial tablet?" "That means in the future, this senior may stay at home, just like inviting a family offering." This is not just raising ghosts. Jiang Yingru was taken aback for a moment, glanced at Lin Boxian, and then said decisively, "Senior, as long as you protect our family thoroughly today, we will agree to your conditions. From the first day of the Lunar New Year to the 15th day, there will definitely be constant incense." Upon hearing this, the female ghost was overjoyed and did not put on airs. Instead, she politely said, "My name is Yanran. You can call me by my name in the future, without the need for seniors to call me." It's quite strange. The Lin family looked at each other. What does this mean? Wait for them to figure it out. The female ghost Yanran said again, "Today's scene may not be able to be sustained solely by the two of us. I can block the red and white twin evils for you, but can you resist the other lonely ghosts, along with the dead cat and the dead skin, on your own?" "Sure," Uncle Jiu gritted his teeth and said. Seeing the female ghost Yanran and Jiu Shu unite together, the black and white twin demons could no longer bear it. The crying in the sedan chair became more and more mournful, and the laughter in the coffin became more and more rampant. The old lady with a cat face and a human skin lantern, as well as the surrounding lonely spirits and wild ghosts, surrounded them. Under the fierce charge, the three-talent formation could no longer resist. The exorcism talisman on the peach tree branch burned out in an instant. "Uncle Jiu, did you just slap your face like that after you finished speaking?" Suddenly, a white figure rushed over, Northeastern, whose family Yingning came to assist Senior Lin in the battle. Uncle Jiu was taken aback. "I have become a senior at my age." The female ghost Yanran squinted her eyes with a smile on her face. It seemed that she was not the only smart person, this one was more direct. The white figure quickly arrived at the front of the formation, and it turned out to be a four-tailed demon fox. With a light flick of its tail, it quickly swept out the lonely souls and wild ghosts around it. Then I jumped up to Uncle Jiu, who was a bit strange. "I don't have any friendship with your Hu family either. Does this fox fairy have an old relationship with my Lin family?" The fox demon shook its tail and said, "Senior, it's not the time to talk about this now. Let's kick them off first." Uncle Jiu nodded, and then one demon, one person, and one ghost stood in a row. There was the scene that Lin Tiansheng opened his eyes to see. Without the protection of the three talents formation, the surrounding demons and monsters immediately surrounded. Yingning jumped up against the old lady with a cat face and swept her tail onto the human skin lantern. The female ghost Yanran faced the red and white twin demons, Uncle Gio stood guard at the door, resisting numerous lonely souls and wild ghosts, preventing them from entering the room. Mr. and Mrs. Lin Boxian couldn't help and returned to their room. Jiang Yingru hugged Lin Tiansheng and sat back in the chair, while Lin Boxian stood on the side shouting to cheer. "Hurry up, protect Big Brother and Sister. In law. Big Brother and Sister. In law, we're here." Suddenly, there was a loud shout outside. The 2nd to 8th brothers of the Lin family wore exorcism talismans on their faces, just like those who were playing acrobatics, with one hand waving a peach tree branch and the other holding an exorcism talisman. They actually rushed in and helped Uncle Gio guard the door. Xiao Qi and Xiao Ba turned around and showed a big smile to Lin Boxian and his wife. "Big Brother, you can't kick us later." 18 years later, the night is hazy. In a wing room on the east side of the Lin family mansion, a young man, about 17 or 18 years old, was soaking naked in a large bathtub that was half a person tall. After arriving in this world and probing with Uncle Gio, Lin Tiansheng discovered that the Maoshan secret technique given by the old Taoist was actually true, not including the final Yin-yang joyous art. The content of that Maoshan secret technique was deeply engraved in his mind. With the help of Uncle Gio, the Shangqing Dadong manual had already cultivated true qi. According to Uncle Gio, this is the supreme treasure of Taoism, and the method is not easily passed down. Therefore, Lin Tiansheng was taken under his tutelage and included in the Maoshan sect. The unobstructed clear sky eye wisdom and divine power, and yin-yang joyous art, are quite strange, and there are 2 different true qi flowing in his body without any practice. So the true qi in Lin Tiansheng's body is quite strange now, with a total of 3 streams of air flow. One stream belongs to the Shangqing Dadong manual, which swims from the Dantian and then returns to the Dantian. One belongs to the unobstructed clear sky eye wisdom and divine power, which should have been just a divine power, but it is unknown whether it is due to his innate yin and yang eyes that such a true energy appears to circulate between his eyes and the Dantian. The last one belongs to the yin-yang joyful art, which is usually hidden in the elixir field and remains motionless. As Lin Tiansheng silently cultivates his mind techniques, he continues to grow. These 3 streams are undisturbed and orderly. Overall, after crossing over, Lin Tiansheng's life has been pretty good. Chapter 6. 18 Years of Single-Double Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is a good day, and anything I want to do can be accomplished, today. It's a good day. Opened. Home door. Welcome. The spring breeze. The beautiful mood ended with a woman's head drilling out between her legs. Here we go again. Lin Tiansheng's mood suddenly sank to the bottom. If it weren't for his good psychological resilience, it wouldn't be possible for him to stand up or not in the future. Lin Tiansheng really wanted to close his eyes and ignore her, pretending not to see her, but she spat bubbles, too close, some bubbles almost touched. Cough and cough. Lin Tiansheng instinctively covered the key points. First is a woman's head, followed by a slender snow-white neck and towering breasts. Don't misunderstand, wearing clothes is just a bit close to the body, just like spitting bubbles, like a lotus in water, it crawled out of the water. Her slender and sparkling fingers ran through her shiny black hair, raised her snow-white neck, and her rosy lips spat out a stream of water. Water droplets dripped from her smooth jaw down the corner of her mouth into the towering area below, and she smiled sweetly at Lin Tiansheng. Looking at the exquisite face on the other side, with bright eyes, the huge and towering water surface, and the round and round underwater, the key is that a thin and moist veil is tightly attached to the body, faintly visible. Lin Tiansheng let out a sigh in his heart and said helplessly, "Sister Yanran, are you such a beautiful and elegant beauty who always sneaks into a man's bathtub worthy of your beauty?" The female ghost was secretly pleased in her heart, and a smile couldn't be stopped at the corner of her mouth, but she still gave a disdainful glance and said, "Man, have you grown all your hair? Do you know what it feels like to be a woman?" Lin Tiansheng. "I won't say if I'm human for now, you're a real ghost." Always teasing me. Always teasing me. Don't just show it to me. Uncle can tolerate it, Auntie can't tolerate it. Lin Tiansheng stared fiercely at Yen Ran, and the dragon was about to reach the sky. The female ghost Yen Ran was completely not afraid of Lin Tiansheng's ghostly gaze, but instead presented herself in front of him with a more S-shaped curve. Suddenly, Lin Tiansheng's face changed, and he felt the genuine energy belonging to the Yin-yang joyous art in his body stir up. In a moment, his face turned red, his eyebrows furrowed, as if he was enduring some pain. He closed his eyes and kept murmuring, "It's so hot, so hot." The female ghost Yen Ran's face changed and she looked at him nervously. "Born, what's wrong with you?" Upon hearing the scream, the little fox guarding outside and Lin Tiansheng's two close maids pushed the door and rushed in. Seeing Lin Tiansheng's appearance, they were both shocked and pale. The two little maids quickly went to report to the eldest couple of the Li family. The little fox swung its snow-white four tails, with a hint of agility in its eyes. It anxiously lay on the edge of the bathtub, looking at the man inside. A crisp girl's voice came from behind, "Sister Yenran, what's wrong with being born? Look at him, his whole body is turning red, just like he's cooked. Is he sick?" The female ghost Yen Ran heard the little fox's question, her rosy lips hesitant to speak, and she regretted teasing this little guy. Did she go too far just now and cause him to go crazy? Thinking about it, the little fox suddenly let out a scream and pointed inside the bathtub. "Oh! Sister Yenran, please take a look at what's going on." Yenran was taken aback for a moment, followed the direction of the little fox's fingers, and suddenly blushed with embarrassment. She spat softly, "Pooh! Ingning, turn your head quickly." Girls from all walks of life are also shy. The little fox blinked its eyes, looked up in confusion, and then lowered its head to take a look. Suddenly, it reacted and its two furry little claws covered its eyes, feeling very shy. However, the gap between its claws indicated that it was not tightly covered. Watching the man with high fighting spirit and a flushed body, the woman felt a bit puzzled. Why does this look like she has been drugged with aphrodisiac? So the jade hand rested on Lin Tiansheng's wrist, wanting to give him a pulse, but like a needle, the hand suddenly shrank back. What a heavy yang energy. The female ghost Yen Ran, not believing in evil, endured the pain and once again placed it on his pulse, vigorous and powerful, as if feeling the coolness on his arm. Lin Tiansheng let out a comfortable moan and slowly opened his eyes. In a daze, I only felt that the figure next to me was like a cool summer breeze. With my back hand, I pulled the woman into my arms and lowered my head to capture those cherry lips. The female ghost Yen Ran instinctively felt that the yin energy in her body was constantly being sucked into his body through her mouth. In great surprise, she pushed Lin Tiansheng away and pushed him back into the bathtub. Her eyes were filled with suspicion, and this feeling was a bit like a magic technique of collecting yin and tonifying yang. With the scene just now, Lin Tiansheng's condition seemed to improve and his consciousness became clearer. The feeling of a cold drink in the scorching summer was sour and refreshing all over his body. The little fox's paws have been taken off its eyes, pouting its long mouth, feeling a bit aggrieved. "You two kiss." Lin Tiansheng's blush and coughed softly. "What do you know, little girl? Just now, it's hard for her to breathe. I helped her to breathe." After speaking, she looked at the beautiful woman beside her with a hint of guilt. The female ghost Yenran ignored his playful behavior, but instead looked at him with a sharp gaze, without any hesitation. "Born, can you honestly tell your sister that you have practiced some kind of evil technique of picking yin and tonifying yang?" The magic of picking yin and tonifying yang. The little fox instantly widened its eyes and then tilted its gaze at the man in the bucket, its long mouth almost curling into a curved hook. "No, you're talking nonsense. I didn't, how can I explain it? Do you remember the story I told you about the Tianlong Babu? Remember, what does this have to do with that? The evil techniques of picking yin and tonifying yang outside, as well as my martial arts, are like Ding Chuanxiu's great transformation technique and Su Zhu's Biming divine technique. My martial arts are the authentic Taoist double cultivation technique, called the Yin-yang joyous art. Yin-yang joyous art. The female ghost frowned and looked at Mr. Lin with a strange expression in her eyes. Why don't I remember seeing you and others practicing this double cultivation technique? Lin Tiansheng smiled awkwardly and said, no, it just works on its own after practicing and doesn't care much. The female ghost Yanran and the little fox suddenly widened their eyes and said, what kind of cultivation method is this? Before Lin Tiansheng could answer, his face turned red again, his whole body became increasingly hot, and his consciousness began to become a bit blurry. The little fox anxiously asked, oh, why has it turned like this again? The female ghost furrowed her brows, realizing that this silly kid was practicing the double cultivation technique alone. She was such a silly and foolish little pervert. Do you want to help him yourself? The eminent monk once said that one belongs to the dharma of achieving merit by chance, with a lifespan of yang yet to be completed, and a body of yin that has been practiced for thousands of years. It requires a person who has a fate to supplement it with the qi of yang. Yin cannot be separated from yang, yang cannot be separated from yin, or it can be reversed to achieve a smooth path. Thinking of this, he turned to the little fox and said, Yingning, you go out first. His appearance seems to be the reason why he should practice that spell. Someone needs to help him. The little fox nodded foolishly and widened its eyes. Sister Yanran, do you want to practice with him? Chapter 7. Uncontrollable Double Repair. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The female ghost nodded with a slightly red face and said, this silly kid has been practicing the double cultivation technique alone for 18 years. He is still a boy, and his yang energy must have expanded to the extreme before it became like this. If we don't help him, he may explode and die. Moreover, a woman with an average yang energy in his body cannot bear it. The little fox was a bit unhappy and muttered, I'm not an ordinary woman either, and I have an engagement with him. The female ghost smiled and nodded the little fox's head with some indulgence, I know, sister won't compete with you for a husband. But now how can you help him? You're not a human being. I can transform into a human body. The female ghost smiled sweetly and said, after all, the illusion is still fake. Don't forget that you are born with yin and yang eyes. Are you sure you want him to remember that you were in a fox state the first time you were together? The little fox became angry with embarrassment and walked out angrily, guarding the door. Its little paws kept digging the ground, oh, oh, oh. After the little fox walked out, the female ghost Yan ran forcefully pursed her mouth, saying, you're a good deal. She leaned in and kissed him first, and then a wave of yin qi was sucked into Lin Tiansheng's body, making him more conscious. Miss Yanran. The female ghost Yanran extended a finger and stuck it in his mouth, don't talk, remember your double cultivation technique later. Lin Tiansheng was taken aback. What does Sister Yanran mean? Is she? Thinking of this, Lin Tiansheng couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Amidst his stunned gaze, the female ghost gently untied her clothes, bit her lower lip lightly with her teeth, and sat in the bathtub. Lin Tiansheng felt the unbearable heat and dryness in his body, as if he had found a vent, like a rushing stream of water that opened the gate in summer, rushing into the body of the female ghost Yanran. Don't forget to run the exercises. The female ghost Yanran suppressed the discomfort in her body, reminded her, and leaned down to kiss his mouth. Lin Tiansheng restrained the charm in his heart and began silently practicing the yin-yang joy technique. The yang energy in his body and the yin energy in the female ghost Yanran's body were like the yin-yang Pisces in gossip, beginning to intersect and constantly wander between their bodies. Lin Tiansheng finally understood why he said he wanted to maintain his childhood identity for 18 years in the end of his cultivation. This is to reach the peak of one's own yang energy, from ano to yin, to drive the other's yin energy and achieve better integration of yin and yang. After all, the female ghost Yanran is a ghost immortal who has been practicing for thousands of years. The yin qi in her body is exceptionally large. Lin Tiansheng feels that with the continuous fusion of yin and yang qi, the true qi in the elixir field begins to rapidly increase and accumulate. Surprisingly, it was connected to the other two streams of true qi, and the cultivation in the body began to increase continuously. Previously, it was just a question realm, but today, the dual cultivation suddenly broke through to the mage realm from the beginning, and it is still growing. The female ghost Yanran was also surprised in her heart. She thought that Lin Tiansheng would definitely absorb some of her cultivation in this double cultivation, but she didn't expect that the yin energy in her body not only did not decrease, but also became more pure. This state gives both of them an addictive feeling. As the techniques continue to run, their bodies gradually reach a balance. Although they are still circulating in their bodies, their growth slows down. However, it was also a huge gain. Lin Tiansheng's cultivation reached the peak of the mage realm, and he was only one step away from entering the real human realm. Lin Tiansheng understood in his heart that today's double cultivation should have come to an end. It's not that it's no longer growing, but that his current physical condition can only accept it to this extent. Somehow, he vaguely felt a pressure between heaven and earth, as if he could only reach his current level. Unable to bear it, she slowly released the cherry lips of the female ghost Yanran and looked at her apologetically. With such a great harvest, she must have lost a lot of Yanran's cultivation. Unexpectedly, the female ghost Yanran blushed and said to him, "Born, thank you. My cultivation has not decreased, but has become more pure. It seems that you are really the person I have been looking for." Lin Tiansheng looked closely at her in surprise, and sure enough, her yin energy was still strong, but it seemed to have added a hint of anger. The double cultivation ended, but the atmosphere became somewhat awkward. Lin Tiansheng held back time and time again, but in the end, he couldn't hold back. In the midst of the female ghost's screams of surprise, he hugged her and suddenly couldn't hold back the spring scenery in the garden. At this moment, Lin's father and mother, who looked anxious, rushed over with two little maids. They saw the little fox pouting and digging the ground in front of the door. Jiang Yingru asked with an anxious expression, "Yingning, how are you born?" The little fox said somewhat aggrieved, "Aunt Jiang, he's fine. Sister Yanran is helping him with treatment inside." At this moment, an unpleasant sound suddenly came from the room. Jiang Yingru and Lin Boxian exchanged a glance, their faces becoming strange. The two little maids, blushing with embarrassment, were about to bury their heads in their chests, and the little fox was even more dissatisfied and scratched its paw. Jiang Yingru coughed lightly and said, "Don't even stand here. Yingning, come with me too." What does the little fox seem to remember? Transforming into a human form, he bowed to Lin Boxian and his wife and said, "Uncle Lin, Aunt Jiang, could you please tell Tian that I will go home first?" After a moment of hesitation, he disappeared into the yard. Jiang Yingru lightly brushed her forehead. The little girl must be jealous. What harm was this done? This stinky kid, no matter what, took everyone out of the yard first. The sound outside had already been heard by the female ghost Yanran, but she couldn't stop Lin Tiansheng's movements at this moment. She could only endure embarrassment and try not to make a sound. After an unknown amount of time, the bathtub was in chaos, and Lin Tiansheng leaned against the edge of the bathtub with satisfaction, admiring the charming figure in front of him. The female ghost gave him a fair look and said with a somewhat worried expression, "Stinky kid, how can I have the face to see them again when we both look like this? You just let Sister Ro and the others hear us." The situation was a bit intense just now, and Lin Tiansheng didn't react. His brain twitched. "You are still good sisters. Let's discuss each other." The female ghost's willow eyebrows furrowed as she pounced on him, causing a burst of scratching. "Kill you little rascal, are you speaking human language?" Lin Tiansheng quickly hugged her and comforted her, "Sister Yanran, don't worry, I will take responsibility. You don't know my parents well, they won't make fun of you. The female ghost Yanran was not a pretentious person either. After feeling the condition inside her body, she said sternly, I may need to stay in seclusion for a while. Please say hello to your parents for me. After speaking, he gave him a kiss on the mouth and quickly disappeared. Hey, it's not. Lin Tiansheng reluctantly put down his hand and began to think about what he should say when he saw his parents. He could not say that your old sisters and I were good. Will he be beaten to death? Chapter 8. Lonely Hanging Ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Tiansheng felt the true qi inside his body for a moment, and this time he really unleashed it. His cultivation level suddenly rose from the asking realm to the peak of the mage realm, and the three roots of true qi seemed to be connected together. However, the one in unobstructed and pure sky-eye intelligence and divine power was relatively independent. Based on today's situation, Lin Tiansheng felt that there would always be a big surprise one day, but he had not yet discovered a specific method. What should be faced is still to face it. Lin Tiansheng tidied up and dressed up to meet his parents. There was no expected scolding, but his father gave him a approving look. Good boy, he even took down the Millennium Ghost Fairy, truly worthy of my seed. Mother Jiang Yingru smiled with a hint of concern, where is Yanran? Miss Yanran, she said she wants to stay in seclusion for a while. Let me tell you, second elder, to come back in a while. Jiang Yingru furrowed her brow and gave him a spoiled glare. She said angrily, what did you say about this stinky kid? You left two of us in a fit of anger. Yining also said she wants to go home for a while. Let's tell you. Ah. Has Yining also gone home? Tell me, what's going on today? Lin Tiansheng scratched his head and licked his smiling face as he approached Jiang Yingru. Mom, I really had some problems with my martial arts. At first, Sister Yanran did help me with treatment, but later she didn't control it, he said. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yingru lightly patted him twice and said, I let you out of control. She then asked with some concern, are your cultivation techniques okay? There are also different paths between humans and ghosts. Do you have anything to do with being together? Lin Tiansheng's heart warmed and he said, don't worry, Mom. There's no problem, everything has been resolved. Jiang Yingru was still a bit uneasy and turned to Lin Boxian, saying, Master, why not let Tiansheng go to Xiaojiu's place and let Xiaojiu show him? It's been a long time since I last saw Xiaojiu, and I feel a bit uneasy. Lin Boxian snorted coldly and remained silent. Jiang Yingru gave him a funny white look and said, you said you two brothers are still more enthusiastic, so why don't you say it's okay? Okay, just look at the arrangements. Speaking of which, Uncle Jiu went to Maoshan for several years for unknown reasons since he was young. Later, he didn't come back here, but moved to Rinjia town. Although he came back a few times a year, he mainly looked at his mother. Every time, he seemed to have parted ways with his father, as if it was a problem with Uncle Jiu's marriage. Lin Tiansheng asked curiously, Mom, why did Uncle Jiu have an unpleasant time with Dad? Children should not inquire about adults' affairs. Jiang Yingru took out a stack of silver bills and handed them to Lin Tiansheng. Your uncle has a stubborn temper and doesn't want to give him money on weekdays. Take this money with you and find a way to give it to him. He hasn't suffered so much since he was young. You've seen him lose a lot of weight the last time he came. Jiang Yingru's eyes turned a little red as she spoke. Lin Tiansheng quickly comforted his mother and said, Mom, don't worry. When I go, I'll take Uncle Jiu to the restaurant every day, and I promise he'll be chubby next time he comes back. Jiang Yingru burst into tears and smiled, you know how to act around. Get up early tomorrow and I'll have Afu accompany you. No need, I'll go by myself. I'm quite familiar with the road now. The next night, late at night, Happy Forest, Lin Tiansheng scratched his head and reluctantly admitted that he must have gotten lost and gone wrong. I bid farewell to my parents early this morning and went to Rinjia town to find Uncle Gio. Normally, I can still take a break in the afternoon and finish my meal calmly. I don't know if I can catch up with tomorrow morning's breakfast in this situation. Just keep following the road, but I don't know which direction it is. How about asking someone? Take a look at this wilderness, let's find a ghost. Lin Tiansheng looked around and suddenly his eyes lit up. There was a green aura not far ahead, and he shook off his arm and ran excitedly over. It's really lucky that a hemp rope is tied to a tree branch that is more than one person above the ground, swaying in the wind. In Lin Tiansheng's eyes, a little girl in white clothes with a pale face and a disheveled hair was hanging on a swing, her neck tightened a bit, and her tongue was hanging under her chest. Why are these people who died in vain easily turned into evil spirits? One reason is that they may already carry some resentment, and before reincarnation, many of them would repeat the state of death every day. For example, this hanging ghost girl may swing here for a while every day. If anyone is cheap and takes this rope home, congratulations, thank you for the gift from nature. Due to the relationship between the little fox and the female ghost Yen Ran, Lin Tiansheng did not discriminate against demons and ghosts. Upon closer inspection, the female ghost had no color in her youthful aura. Well, fortunately, this ghost had not harmed anyone. Seeing it swinging so happily, I felt a bit embarrassed to disturb it. After standing under the branch for a while, I finally saw the female ghost catch a glance at him. Lin Tiansheng happily and politely asked, "That beautiful woman, may I ask how to get to Rinjia town?" Hanging ghost sister was taken aback. Just now, she saw him looking in her direction from below. Can she really see herself? I have been hanging myself for a year now, and the hanging ghost, feeling somewhat uncertain, rolled up its tongue and pointed at itself, then asked with a big tongue, "Ni seems to be following Wasuaha. Can Ni see wa?" Lin Tiansheng. It's still important for you to choose your own way of life, as the young ladies who looked at least pretty before their death have big tongues. Like, yes, I got lost. May I ask you for directions? Hanging ghost sister scratched her head with her tongue, and in her inconspicuous state, someone could actually see her. Her tongue pointed in the direction Lin Tiansheng had come over and shyly said, "Where should I go, dog?" A faint golden light flashed in Lin Tiansheng's eyes, and he activated the unobstructed and pure heavenly eye wisdom and divine skill, hereinafter referred to as heavenly eye skill. It was unclear whether it was due to his innate yin and yang eyes. With the blessing of this skill, he could hear the voices of some ghosts and monsters, all of whom were talking nonsense. It was better to be careful. Well, it was indeed a mistake. Lin Tiansheng arched his hand and expressed his gratitude to the hanged ghost girl before preparing to leave. "Thank you, I'll see you later." Ah! Seeing that he was about to leave, the hanging ghost girl suddenly stopped him. Seeing Lin Tiansheng turn around, she asked shyly, her pale face turning even paler, "I'm stuck in this long dead space, can you accompany me for a while?" Lin Tiansheng was stunned, hanging the ghost sister. Is this loneliness? This requirement? Immediately upon realizing it, I felt embarrassed and misunderstood. It was all Jiajia's fault. His video successfully made many men regard female ghosts as gifts from nature. It's no problem chatting for a while, just hang out for a while. I don't have this hobby. Chapter 9. Uncle Simu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. People go on the road, while living people avoid. In the desolate wilderness, there came a man's voice with a strange tone, and the last word was played very long, making people feel uncomfortable. Looking towards the source of the sound through the darkness, a Taoist wearing a felt hat and brown linen clothes was seen not far away, holding a shrine filled with bells and lights, jumping and shouting these words. Behind him followed a series of people with stiff bodies, jumping forward neatly with the movements of the Taoist, all dressed in Qing official uniforms, unable to see their heads and faces clearly but feeling a chill in their hearts. Lin Tiansheng looked at the person from a distance, shaking the bell in his hand all the way and jumping towards the big tree where he was in the midst of a series of jingling sounds. I jump and jump, I continue to jump, we cross our legs, we jump forward, we jump backward, we twist and jump, we cross our legs and jump. The Taoist was thin and long, dressed in a Taoist robe, wearing a square hat on his head, and wearing a pair of round glasses on his nose. The appearance of the newcomer was too familiar, and Lin Tiansheng recognized his identity at a glance. Uncle Simu. Lin Tiansheng excitedly waved his arm. The sudden shout startled the Taoist priest Simu. His feet slipped and he fell back at once. The group of stiff people behind him also fell back to the ground like the stack of men. "Oh, that little bastard called me. Uncle Simu, it's me." Lin Tiansheng ran over with a smile and pulled up Taoist Simu. "Born. So it's you, this stinky kid." Four-eyed Taoist reached out and rubbed his cheek. "You see, you've knocked down all my clients. Senior uncle loves you so much." Lin Tiansheng sighed helplessly, unaware of the bad habit formed by Master Simu. When he was unhappy, he liked to pinch the faces of these younger generations. "Senior uncle, where are you planning to go?" "I have received a few clients and am preparing to settle down at my senior brother's charity estate." "What are you doing here at night?" Lin Tiansheng scratched his head and said, "I seem to have taken the wrong path to Uncle Jio's house, so I ended up here. If I remember correctly, your home is south of Rinjia town." "How did you walk around to the north?" said the four-eyed Taoist with a twitch at the corner of his mouth. Lin Tiansheng. The air suddenly became a bit quiet, but the hemp rope on the branches shook even more violently, still trembling. Four-eyed Taoist shook his head and said, "Follow me and take someone with you when you go out." He shook his shrine and said, "Get up, get up, get up." The corpses that fell on the ground and piled up like tumblers bounced upright again, and put their hands one by one on the shoulders of the corpses in front of them. "Let's go." Yin people take the road, Yang people avoid. Lin Tiansheng and Miss Hanging Ghost waved their hands and said, "Goodbye, beautiful woman." Hang the ghost girl and wave her tongue back with reluctance. "Do it again." Upon hearing Lin Tiansheng's words, the four-eyed Taoist paused and looked at Lin Tiansheng with confusion. He followed his gaze towards the swaying hemp rope on the tree branch, his gaze fixed, indicating a ghost. Reaching out and holding Lin Tiansheng behind him, he picked up the two leaf-shaped glasses hanging on his chest and flashed before his eyes. The carefree figure of the hanging ghost girl appeared in front of him, and his eyes grew up and he let out a shout, "Bold demon, dare to provoke my Maoshan disciples. Miso, draw the bronze sword behind you and engage in a hand-to-hand combat with the hanging ghost sister." "Hey hey hey," Lin Tiansheng quickly grabbed him, "Senior uncle, there's a misunderstanding, there's a misunderstanding." It didn't bother me much, but it still showed me the way. The four-eyed Taoist looked at him with a resentful glance. "There is a conflict between good and evil. Your Taoist skills are still shallow, and you have been blinded by ghosts. This is a hanging ghost." Then, with a hard pull, he didn't break free, and with another hard pull, four-eyed Taoist priest. "You let go of me. I didn't expect to see you for a few days, and my strength increased a lot." "Oh, senior uncle, I'll let go of you." "Don't be impulsive," Lin Tiansheng instructed him to let go. "I wasn't blinded by ghosts, you forgot. I have yin and yang eyes, and my cultivation has improved a bit recently." The four-eyed Taoist paused for a moment. Just now, when he was anxious, he forgot that this kid had yin and yang eyes. He then choked his neck and said, "To practice, you need to be down to earth. You can't be arrogant and complacent with just a little progress." Watching Lin Tiansheng, who was already very familiar with the four-eyed Taoist, silently summoned the true qi in his body. "Keep your feet on the ground and keep up with." Four-eyed Taoist paused and stared at him in amazement, instantly feeling unwell. Crouching trough, the peak of the mage realm. I worked hard to reach this level. Did this kid reach it at a young age? Then came a wave of relief and sadness in my heart. fortunately, I am truly happy for my senior brother. Sadly, my family is happy, and my master loves you so much. Did this hanging ghost really have no intention of harming you just now? Lin Tiansheng answered decisively, no. He had already tested it with Tianyantong just now, and there was no blood in the ghostly aura, nor was there any deception. Okay, then let it go and let it go. Lin Tiansheng smiled and waved his hand, following the four-eyed Taoist priest away, leaving only the hemp rope on the branch drifting in the wind. Thank you, he said. Under the night, the wild mountains and forests were like silently lurking monsters, peering at passers-by in the darkness, as if they were about to rush out in the next second. There was also some restlessness, making rustling and eerie noises in the silence, reminding them to walk faster. Lin Tiansheng tightened his collar and closely followed the fourth-eyed Taoist. As he walked, the fourth-eyed Taoist suddenly made a stop gesture and a prepared expression, as if he had encountered something. Lin Tiansheng quickly looked forward and saw a young man dressed in a grey short coat and pants, with a face as jade as a crown, eyebrows divided into 8 colors, and a pair of black cloth shoes on the soles of his feet. It was Qiu Sheng, the disciple of Jiushu, who was carrying an old man on his back and shouting to the four-eyed Taoist priest. Uncle, my master asked me to pick you up. When Lin Tiansheng saw the old man behind Qiu Sheng clearly, he was startled. He was clearly an ugly-looking old ghost. Lin Tiansheng looked at Qiu Sheng with concern, saying that people are always treacherous and ghosts are always slippery. This kind of old ghost is the most difficult to deal with, and Qiu Sheng is in big trouble now. This ghostly physique is truly a childhood friend. Master Uncle, Lin Tiansheng looked at the four-eyed Taoist and was about to speak. I saw the four-eyed Taoist with a calm expression. He waved his hand, stopped speaking, and then handed Lin Tiansheng 2 yellow talismans, instructing him. Be careful later. Chapter 10. The Old Ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The four-eyed Taoist smiled faintly and said, It's still my nephew who is considerate. You know you feel sorry for your martial uncle, come and pick me up. Come and see who this is. Qiu Sheng approached and exclaimed in surprise. Born, why did you come here with your senior uncle? Qiu Sheng, long time no see. Who is the old man behind you? Lin Tiansheng secretly opened Tianyantong. Oh, the old man who fell just now. Are you tired? I'll help you memorize for a while. Excitedly, Qiu Sheng was completely unaware of the danger and said casually, No need, I'm not tired. Lin Tiansheng and Simu Daochang quietly rolled their eyes, You rammer. Uncle Jiu has profound magical power and has been a hero for a lifetime. However, the 2 disciples he received did not make any progress. Apart from causing trouble, they also caused trouble. If it weren't for his aunt's previous care and normal friendship, Lin Tiansheng would have wanted to clean up Uncle Jiu's door. The old ghost on Qiu Sheng's back was quite moved. Is this swelling? Why do you look at this young man and instantly feel that this one doesn't smell good? At this moment, Lin Tiansheng was like a hooligan in its eyes, drooling at the sight of a beautiful woman. He anxiously said to Qiu Sheng, Little brother, you're also tired. Let that little brother carry me for a ride. As he spoke, he slipped off Qiu Sheng's body and his thin hands reached out to Lin Tiansheng. Looking at the greedy gaze of the old ghost, Lin Tiansheng sneered in his heart, saying that you were too happy too early. Speaking late, then fast. Taking advantage of the old ghost's attention on Lin Tiansheng, the four-eyed Taoist priest pulled Qiu Sheng apart and pasted a yellow talisman with obscure and difficult-to-understand runes drawn in cinnabar on the old ghost's head. Unexpectedly, the talisman paper hit the ground with a hiss. Shouting out, there was still an old ghost with only Taoist skills. Lin Tiansheng's face remained unchanged, and he quickly pasted the yellow talisman given by the four-eyed Taoist. With 2 more hisses, the old ghost's face became pitch black. The old ghost let out a painful scream, feeling a bit confused about what was going on, and then reacted, muttering in his heart, "It seems to scare them," forcing them to obediently submit. The old ghost began to look at the three people with a grim expression and said, "I want you to die." With a loud bang, the four-eyed Taoist priest slapped it out with a peachwood sword. The old ghost stretched out its claws and flew back, continuing to shout with a fierce expression, "I want you all." Before the last word, "death," could be shouted out, there was a loud bang, and he was hit on the head by a peachwood sword, kneeling to the ground. "I want you. Pa. I want it. Pa. Me, Pa, stop, Taoist, stop fighting, I was wrong." After the painstaking efforts of the Four Eyes Taoist, the old ghost deeply realized his mistake. Under the patient persuasion of Master Simu with his peachwood sword, the old ghost shed tears of regret, stating that he was just a momentary greedy person who couldn't resist loneliness and embarked on the path of crime. In the future, he must reform himself and be a good ghost. "Okay, I really can't keep up." The old ghost was just beaten and cried by Master Simu. "Woo-woo, there is a word called ghost crying and wolf howling, and you should understand how unpleasant the sound is. I have never done anything wrong in my life, and as a result, I was beaten to death in this wilderness, exposed to the dead, and unable to be reincarnated. How could my life be so hard?" sobbing. The person who cries in this voice is really annoyed. "Don't cry." Four-eyed Taoist frowned and shouted. "Let's talk about it, what's going on? To be honest, if you dare to make any empty promises, it will make your soul run wild." "I dare not, I was originally a salesman. When I passed by this place, someone robbed me of my money, killed me, and threw me in this wilderness. My family doesn't know where my bones are. I can't receive the incense money, so I died in vain. Without money, I can't conceive." And then, Lin Tiansheng did not soften his heart due to the old ghost's crying, because that was not the reason it harmed others. The old ghost gave Lin Tiansheng a timid glance and sighed. "I don't want to either. When I was alive, I was always bullied by people. I should be a lonely and wild ghost, and often bullied by other evil spirits. I couldn't bear the bullying every day, so I ran out and happened to meet this kind-hearted little brother. It was then that I became greedy and wanted to reincarnate." Lin Tiansheng had a thoughtful expression in his eyes, as if he understood what the old ghost had just planned. "I see you're old and kind enough to carry you on a journey. Why did you want to harm me?" Thinking of what happened earlier, Choshin was furious. Master Simu explained on the side, "A person who died in vain cannot be reincarnated immediately because their young life is not yet complete. To reincarnate, they need to find a substitute, commonly known as a ghoul." Upon hearing the words of the Four Eyes Taoist, Choshin was furious. "Alright, I was kind enough to help you, but you actually asked me to be a ghost. Little brother, I'm sorry. You don't know that old. Well, that evil ghost is always bothering me when there's something to do. I really can't bear it anymore. It's only then that I became greedy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have harmed anyone for decades." Upon hearing the old ghost's words, both Lin Tiansheng and Choshin felt a bit confused. What kind of gameplay is this? That evil ghost is so powerful. The old ghost thought for a moment and said with a certain expression, "I'm old and powerful, even more powerful than a tiger. My bone rack is no match for it at all." "Well, by the time you die, you're already quite old. How come you haven't been reincarnated after decades?" The old ghost said sorrowfully. "Be poor." Lin Tiansheng carefully looked at the old ghost, with a wisp of smoke floating on his body. Over the years, Lin Tiansheng has gained a wealth of experience. At a glance, he can tell what kind of demons and monsters they are. Zombies have a black aura, while ordinary little ghosts have a green aura. After harming someone, they become a fierce ghost. A fierce ghost has a blood-red hue in its green aura, and the darker the color, the more people are harmed. The old ghost had a green aura on its body, indicating that it had not lied and had not really harmed anyone. Lin Tiansheng whispered to the four-eyed Taoist. Four-eyed Dao Chang sighed, this dog-day world. Where is your bones? Take us to take a look. Upon hearing the words of the four-eyed Taoist, the old ghost timidly glanced at him and said, as for the Taoist priest, my bones are behind a dilapidated grave, where a wicked ghost lives. That demon is very fierce. The four-eyed Taoist said angrily, very fierce. How fierce can I be? Naturally, the Taoist is more aggressive, the old ghost said with a flattering smile. The old ghost quickly changed his mind and said, of course, the Taoist has high magic power. The four-eyed Taoist nodded in satisfaction. Let's go, lead the way. Under the guidance of the old ghost, the three of them arrived at a lonely grave, with a crooked tombstone and weeds overgrown on the mound. Before that, the four-eyed Taoist gave Lin Tiansheng and Qiu Xing each a few yellow talismans, with complex spells painted on them. Lin Tiansheng looked like an exorcism talisman. It seemed that the four-eyed Taoist was not easy to provoke, and there was no movement at the grave. He did not see the evil ghost mentioned by the old ghost, but Lin Tiansheng still heard a voice coming from the grave, this damn old ghost, you're shaking people to bully me. You wait for me. When the others leave, I'll sit on your butt.